Have you ever finally achieved something you prayed for, and then quietly wondered why it doesn't feel the way you imagined? That's where this story begins, not with a tragedy, not with betrayal, not with loud arguments, but with a key turning in a brand new door. A married couple stands in the middle of their new apartment. The sunlight pours through tall windows, touching fresh paint, untouched furniture, a kitchen that smells like possibility. This move wasn't accidental. It was the wish, the upgrade, the next level. For years, they had talked about it. More space, better neighborhood, a symbol that they were moving forward in life. He looks around with satisfaction. She smiles. She thanks him. She says it's beautiful, and she means it. But something inside her hesitates, like stepping into cold water you know you'll eventually adjust to. In the first weeks, everything appears normal. He leaves early, returns late, exhausted but proud. She begins introducing herself to neighbors, exchanging polite greetings in hallways, accepting casual invitations for coffee. She tries to build roots in soil that hasn't yet learned her name. On the surface, there is no conflict, no raised voices, no dramatic confrontation, just the subtle weight of transition. And this is what makes the story so honest. Because loneliness doesn't always arrive in empty rooms. Sometimes it arrives in beautifully furnished ones. Sometimes it sits quietly beside achievement. Psychologically, what we're witnessing is something very human, the emotional lag behind external success. Our environment can change overnight. Our identity rarely does. When we move, we don't just relocate furniture. We disrupt routines, support systems, micro habits that quietly anchored us. She misses her old street, the bakery that knew her order, the friend who lived 5 minutes away, not because the old place was better, but because it was familiar. And familiarity is a powerful form of safety. Meanwhile, he believes everything is going exactly as planned. After all, this was the goal. So why would there be a problem? And here's the quiet tension that pulls us in. When two people share the same dream, but experience its fulfillment differently, what happens next? At first, she tells herself it's just adjustment. Everyone says that, don't they? Give it time. You'll get used to it. Change is good. These phrases are comforting, almost rehearsed. But adaptation isn't a switch. It's a negotiation between who you were and who you're becoming. Their new apartment is beautiful bright windows, clean walls, a quieter neighborhood that signals progress. When he leaves for work each morning, the silence settles in, not hostile, just wide. She arranges furniture, experiments with recipes, smiles at neighbors downstairs. People are kind. Conversations are pleasant. Yet every time she closes the door behind her, the quiet expands again. What she's feeling isn't dramatic sadness. It's displacement. Psychologists call it a loss of reflected identity. Back in the old neighborhood, she was known. The barista remembered her name. Friends carried shared memories. Even the walls felt familiar. Here, she has to introduce herself all over again, to others and to herself. Meanwhile, he sees the move as progress. Longer hours at work feel justified. Stability equals love. Providing equals caring. When he asks, "Everything okay?" she says yes. And technically, she's right. Nothing is wrong. That's what makes it confusing. This is how couples drift, not through conflict, but through misaligned interpretations. She wonders why she isn't happier. He assumes discomfort just needs time. When we can't name the problem, we often turn inward and assume we are the problem. The turning point came on an ordinary day. Her new neighbors brought a small gift, a meal bought from her favorite restaurant near their old apartment, a thoughtful surprise. She was delighted to smell the familiar food. The neighbor was surprised to see that. She explains gently, "It's not the food. It's not the apartment. It's the feeling of floating, of not quite landing anywhere." She misses the version of herself that felt rooted. Here, she feels like a guest in her own life. The neighbor listened. She also shared that they had planned this. They had worked hard for this. If the outcome was good, why would it feel wrong? But hidden beneath that productivity was pressure. Her husband, he had worked even harder to justify the decision to move, to prove it was the right one. The apartment wasn't the problem. The silence between expectations and reality was. So they begin small. Dinner at the table without screens. A weekly walk to explore the neighborhood together. He protects one evening on his calendar as carefully as a work meeting. She invites a neighbor over instead of waiting. No grand gestures, just consistent presence. A home, they discover, isn't created by square footage. It's built through repeated moments of connection. Identity takes time to catch up with circumstance. Discomfort isn't failure, it's integration. The apartment never changes. They do. If this story resonated with you, take a moment to reflect. Are you building a life or just upgrading it? Share your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories that help us grow, not just succeed.